Have you seen these trending videos on TikTok and Instagram?
Dude, this shirt makes you look like...
I know.
Sweet dreams are made of these. Who am I?
Here's another one. I'm going to show you the basics of how to do this using Stable Diffusion. The technology behind this is called Deforum, which is a Stable Diffusion plugin to create images in succession and stitch them together to create a video. This video is going to be very straightforward. You just have to follow through you don't necessarily have to understand what the underlying technology is. You just have to be able to follow these instructions. Now let's talk about different approaches that you can take. If you have a computer with a good graphics card, running Stable Diffusion is easy, and these kind of videos can be generated easily for free on your local computer. But if you can't install Stable Diffusion on your local computer, you can do that in a cloud service like Colab, Google Colab, or Run Diffusion. I prefer Colab because it's much cheaper and it has a pay-as-you-go option. You have Kyber, other tools like Kyber, which is gaining popularity these days. You have a free tier there, which you can for 7 days you can experiment with. So I opted for Collaboratory. I have a few notes here. First, what you have to do is to find this notebook here. I will give the link in the description. Follow this link, and what you need to do is to click copy to drive. This will copy this particular piece of code into your Google Drive, and that will open in a new tab. You just have to rename the file to your liking. Very first step is to connecting your Google Drive. If you're running locally, you'll have to install Python, you have to install Git to clone this particular repo, which provides a web graphical user interface, something to interact with the Stable Diffusion code. So all of that is manual. So what a notebook is, it has several Python commands. You click on this play button, it will run that portion. And this notebook is put together by this guy, LastPen. So thanks to him. You can check out his GitHub repository as well. This is a file browser here. As soon as you connect to your Google Drive files will appear here. So now you have two options. You can use your normal Google account. I personally used a separate account to run this code. It's not that you give it permission once and it will try to connect it in the background for any script. The permissions only persist for the session that you're working with the notebook. So it's not that dangerous if there's some malicious code, but I have gone through this particular code. It doesn't have any malicious code. We have a few settings here, and I'll go through that, and then we'll start connecting the Google Drive, etc. And then I'll switch to my paid version of Google Collaboratory. Because if you have a look at it, we are connected to it says here, Python 3 Google Compute Engine Backend GPU. And if you click on it, you can see all this system RAM, GPU RAM. You also get 78 gig disk space on that computer unit. And you're not subscribed. You currently have 0 compute units. Resources offered free are charged and are not guaranteed. So you can certainly run this for free. You don't have to subscribe. In fact, I did my first few generations using the free tier. But at some point, Google will recognize that you are trying to run Stable Diffusion, and then Google doesn't like that. When you run this particular notebook, you might be asked for a Hugging Face token. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't ask. I don't know why. So be ready with your Hugging Face account here. For that, you need to go to huggingface.co and then sign up, login, and then create a API key there. I already have an account here. You can go to, I actually forgot where it was. If you can go to settings, create the access tokens here. I have one already created for Colab. With read access, edit notebook settings, and make sure you're running GPU. You can use this person before. I think this is a new option. Python 3 or R. You can also select GPU type, but as you see, this particular Google account I have doesn't have access to the other GPU types because you need to be subscribed for that. So I'll switch to my paid version now. Go to runtime and click on run all. So you may be executing code that is disallowed, which may terminate your runtime without warning. First of all, it will ask you to connect to the Google Drive. Go ahead and connect your drive to that, and you'll have to give all these permissions here. Allow. One thing I forgot is though that check this use Cloudflare tunnel. The performance is better if you check that. So go ahead and do that, and I'm going to switch into my paid subscription plan here. All right, this is the one that I've been using. Let's go ahead and do the same thing for this. It's asking to connect to the Google Drive. I'm using my separate account. So once that mounts my Google Drive, you can see that there will be a mount folder that will appear here in a second. You can also refresh this page if you don't see it. Make sure you have checked this option, use Cloudflare tunnel, before running it so that you have the best performance with your Stable Diffusion UI. If I click on this option here, since I have a subscription, you're subscribed to Colab and available, you're granted I think like 100 units, but I've been using it very heavily. You have one active session, which is this one, it's 25. You have like 166 as opposed to like 75 or 80 gig in the free version. You can also change the run type here directly. And it's actually using the top tier one, I guess, that you can get access to. Runtime shape, high RAM. I don't really mess about with any of those. Daily run is going to take about like 5 minutes to download everything. So I'm getting an error here. This hasn't happened before. But if you get something like module not found error, no module found TOMSD, something similar, all you have to do is like copy that module. So if you come over here and hover over in the middle of this, where this line appears, you have code and plus text option, click on code, and then you have to put an exclamation mark and copy that and say pip install TOMSD and click on play. So let's try starting Stable Diffusion again. All right, it looked like it worked. So if you get any module not found error, just do the same thing, pip install and that module name. So if you now click on this HTTPS link here, the URL that it spits out, it will actually take some time loading for the first run because it has to download a bunch of things. And voila, you have your Stable Diffusion UI. This is the model that it has by default. For the purposes of this video, we are going to download another model called Rev Animated. So if you come over to Civit AI, this is a website where users train their own models based on Stable Diffusion. And as you can see, a lot of things are blurred out as well. So if you use one of these models, you can generate NSFW art as well. So that's the great thing about having Stable Diffusion installed locally. You don't have to worry about all the censorship if you want to generate slightly erotic material for a graphic novel or whatever you fancy, you know what you will be using for. But here you have to search for Rev Animated, and now click on that, and now you have these images here. So go ahead and download this. You can either download this to a computer, local computer, and then upload to Google Drive. I would rather download it directly to the compute unit rather than going through downloading locally and uploading it. For that, you'll have to, I'll give you this command again in the description. To run, what you have to do is again do the same thing, plus code to install a block of code and paste that there. Make sure you have the exclamation mark in front of it. If you have this pound symbol, that means that it comments it out. It will just ignore the whole line. What it does is it downloads that. This is the target link. You can get this link from right-clicking and copy link address. It puts in this directory here, st. This is where the notebook downloaded Stable Diffusion code. This is the web UI, Stable Diffusion web UI. And if you come to models, Stable Diffusion, and you can see that put Stable Diffusion checkpoints here. So this is where it will be downloaded. You might need to stop the Stable Diffusion here because it kind of blocks the other commands, and run this now. So now you can see that it is downloading to that particular location, and it's much faster as well because Google's compute units are connected to much faster internet than my local internet here. You can see 61 MBs per second. All right, so it looks like it has downloaded the file, but it is appearing as 46846. Let's rename that to something meaningful. Just make sure you have, this is a safe tensors file. I don't know what that means yet. Let's rename it to animated safe tensors and come back down here and restart our Stable Diffusion server. All right, it's given us a new URL here. So this will be different every time where you restart the Stable Diffusion server. So if you try to access the older one, it won't work anymore. Give it a second. All right, now if you look at the Stable Diffusion checkpoint drop down, you have the new one. Make sure you select that before proceeding. So next, you need to install Deforum extension. So for that, come to extensions here, come to available and click on load from. And it loads all the available extensions. If you scroll to the very bottom or search for Deforum, you'll see that, and click on the install button next to Deforum. Yep, that's done, and come to installed, and then you can see that a Deforum is installed. For this to take effect, you need to apply and restart the UI, All right, now you have this Deforum button here, Deforum tab here. So come to the Deforum tab now. So now is the fun part. So next thing is that you need a starting image to start the animation with. You don't really need to have it to create these kind of animation videos, but if you want to animate a photo of yourself training into something, you need a starting image. So for that, I'm just going to go to Pexels to get a video from there. Going to select the filters and make sure I have vertical orientation selected. You can use any video. And woman dancing, I'm going to find a sort of like a close-up video where you can see the face clearly. Maybe this one here. So I'm going to open that up, download that, and copy that attribution so that I can attribute to. Attribution is not necessary, but I'm going to do that. Now we are going to play that video and we'll try to get a frame. So I think I will get a frame when she actually comes back and has her face again in the video. So I'm going to screenshot that here. On Mac it is Command-Shift-4. In Windows you can use the picture clipper or something like that, I believe it is. And you can drag this and take a screenshot. Now that you have your screenshot, create a folder called Uploads in your Google Drive and then choose File, Upload here and come to and upload that screenshot. Make sure you don't have any spaces in the file name, so right click and click on Rename and then I'm just going to call it screen.png. Come to Stable Diffusion here and in the Deforum tab, I'm going to make sure that these dimensions actually represent the video that we took. 540 to 960. Choose standard definition because if you go higher up, the generation process will take a long time. You can upscale it in your editing software if you want after this. So the next thing is to go to Init and click on Use Init. This is where we have to specify the path for the image that we have uploaded. So come to the Colab page and right click on the upload screen.png and copy the path and come back to Stable Diffusion and in the place of init image path, you are going to paste it there. And you don't have to really change anything else. Come back to run. You don't have to change anything here either. And under keyframes, I'm going to generate a 3D animation. So I'm going to check 3D and you have different settings for that 3D here. You have like zoom and angle, transformation, transform, center Y, translation X. Make sure that you have the CFG scale. So choose something between 7 or 8 because this is a guidance scale how strictly Stable Diffusion will adhere to the prompts that we are going to give in a second. So I'm going to choose something like 7.5 or something like that. So I need to be able to give Stable Diffusion its own creativity, but not really, making it entirely creative and deviate from my prompt entirely. And we're going to do some simple motion. Don't need anything crazy. I have these things that I've jotted down earlier. Translation X, translation Y. So X, Y, Z. X is like going left to right, right to left. Y is top down, down top. And Z is like zooming in. On rotation is the same thing on X-axis and on X-axis and Y-axis. And I can't really conceptualize how the Z works. I'm just going to copy this settings here. I think I got it from another YouTuber. So minus means on the X-axis means that it will move to the negatives. If you imagine a graph, so that means it will move left. These values are relative to the previous frame. So let's go ahead and just copy that. We have max frames set to 120 and in the output video that we are going to generate, we are doing 15 frames per second. That means if I give this as 150, that'll mean it will produce a 10-second video. So let's go ahead and do that. 150. If you don't want to do any kind of like editing add more frames to it or anything like that, you can just give these frames per second to be one of those standard frames per second, like 30 frames per second. Because I want to generate this rather fast, I'm just going to stick with 15. All right, now we have the motion parameters set and also the output set and also the length of the video. Now you need to actually come to prompt. Deforum, when you install the extension, you already have a bunch of prompts, example prompts that you can give. This is in something called as a JSON format, and you can see the 0, 30, 60, 90. What that means is that use this prompt for that image at the 0th frame. 30th frame, it will have the image of an anthropomorphic clean cat surrounded by fractals, and so on. 60th, you'll have a beautiful coconut, and then you'll have a beautiful durian. I'm going to use something from another popular text-to-image generator called playground.ai. I'm going to go to their community feed and copy one of the prompts from there. So maybe, okay, let's choose this one. So they have used Stable Diffusion because our model Rev Animator is actually based on Stable Diffusion 1.5. This will also work. To start off with, we have that our init image, and that should transition into maybe this guy here. And I'm going to select the prompt there, and you can see the guidance scale and also the sampler they have used. EU, I think it's called Euler Ancestral. I'm going to copy that prompt here. Make sure that fits within the quotation marks. Come to run and select the one with A is the ancestral one, and enable the ancestral ETS scheduling. I don't know what it does, but that's what I do. But I just leave it at the default. Come to the next prompt. I think I would want her to maybe transition to this woman here. Same Stable Diffusion, ancestral, similar model, so that will work. I'm going to copy the prompt from here, come back to prompt. So we have 150 frames. So 30th frame is a good point to transition into that. Copy the negative prompt here. That is also very important. I'm going to put that in this prompts negative. So these are the prompts that you supply to generate images at those frames. This will be given along with all those prompts. So this prompt negative will be supplied with for all those prompts. So it will remove Asian. I don't know why it removes Asian. That not really sure if that will work with if my prompt for Tokyo small dirty alley. So I'm going to delete that. Poorly drawn face. All right. I like this one here. Guidance scale Stable Diffusion. Same sampler they have used it. 90. Give it some time to readjust. I'm going to maybe even a little bit more. Maybe 60. I'll leave the rest of it. Save the settings if you want. If for some reason this crashes and you want to reload it, you can do that if you click on. And for now, I think we have everything that we need. For the motion settings here, that I would advise that you start with something very simple. So here, 0th frame, 10th frame, 65th frame, 75th frame, 85th frame, that's how you read. So it translates, these are relative. So one means zoom in one more unit. I don't know what that unit is from the relative to the previous frame that was generated. So we only have until 150 frames. So I can actually delete from 300. All right. Negative means on the x-axis, it means that move left, and negative on the y-axis means move down. Z means, I guess, zoom in. Positive on z-axis means zoom out. You'll have to try that out. But anyway, we have everything that we need for now. Some people give this denoise thing. I don't know. Again, you can play around with it. I leave it at the default, and it produces some pretty good images. Start the generation by simply clicking on this generate button. But before that, make sure that you have selected the right model here. So start with smaller frame rates, because you don't want to start with the high frame rates, because if you make a mistake here, you have to wait for it to complete, and it takes a long time. So experiment with smaller values first. Click on generate to start the generation, and now it has started the generation, but we're already getting an error here. Check the schedules value. So this usually means that under the motion, we have some error here. Remove that comma there and do the generate again. It has started the generation process again. All right, looks like there are no errors anymore. So if you come back to your Collaboratory page, you can see the progress here. Hide the file explorer. This is pretty fast. We'll see that GPU RAM is going up here. While it is running, you can actually go to your file explorer under SD, under Stable Diffusion Web UI. And if you go to outputs, this is where it will get generated, and you'll have image to image images. And under that, latest run is at the bottom. If you click on that, you can see in real time what images are getting created. Pretty nice, huh? All right, I'm liking it already. So I'm excited for this to complete. So it's going pretty fast here, actually. 15% already. ETA is 10 minutes. So let's wait for 10 minutes. All right, now it has finished generating the video. You can either click here for the generation to show the video, or you can go to your Google Drive, go to SD, Web UI, Outputs, Image to Images, and look for that video file that was generated. This will be an MP4 file. So that's the one right there. Click on that and download it. Now that is the video that it was created. Not bad at all. You can experiment with the prompts to see different results. Right click, download. Now you have that, import that into your editor and also import your original video, which is here. I believe our screen grab was taken at 0.01, 1 second into the video. Go to 1. All right, we are going to place it there and put it there and see how that plays. So you can experiment with all this, camera movements and stuff like that. But that is the basic idea of creating these videos. Here are some more videos that I've created. This is another one that I created. Simple camera movements going in and out. Here's another one. Here again is another one. Not bad at all. So you can really play around with this and create amazing animations using this. Now the next thing to actually do is to, when the woman dances, it would be nice using a control net to actually follow the movements. And so you have the video that way. I'm working on a video. Stable diffusion, you need stable diffusion, Deforum. Have to run it locally for free, or you can try the free version. And other alternatives are run diffusion, and also on the notebook itself, the guy recommends run pod or paperspace. These are again much cheaper than run diffusion. Similar kind of thing. You can say that 20 cents an hour is still, collaboratory will be still cheaper. $10 for 100 compute units. And I've purchased the recommended subscription per month, but I'm going to switch into this one actually. But anyway, that's it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one. You may like this video here.